Yo, what up? My name is Don, and today I want to talk about staying motivated and or inspired as a creative person. So I want to talk about some of the common things that happen to all sorts of creative people, how I relate to those scenarios, and some tips and or tricks, and my personal advice on how to best deal with those. So with that being said, let's hop right in. All right, so I want to talk about some of the common things that happen to all sorts of creative people. So I have some notes that I made here, and I just wanted to go over them really quickly and my experiences with these different, very common things that happen to creatives. So we're going to start with the very common thing of self doubt. Self doubt is, something that can happen for all sorts of reasons, and I actually have other, I guess, topics that also relate to this, such as imposter syndrome or feeling alone, which can bleed into self doubt. But I have those listed for their own reasons. So self doubt, like I said, can happen for all sorts of reasons. And instead of trying to, I guess, counteract each reason that it happens, I think that it's important to recognize, just like my video about burning out as a creator, that nothing is a linear, uh, like progression isn't going to be linear, right? And so there are going to be times where, I like analogies a lot, and I'm just gonna let it fly off the handle and just let my brain say what it's thinking. Just like the ocean goes in and out, your your times when you're feeling self-doubt will swell, they'll build stronger, and there are times when you'll feel more confident because you are actually progressing as, whatever it is that you are. Could be as, when I say an artist, I'm gonna refer to drawing, like, with some sort of pencil, pen, medium, or something like that. And obviously, if I say musician, that's pretty obvious, but whatever type of artist you are, whether you draw with a pencil or paint or blah blah blah, I think that it's important to understand that um, we kind of, I guess, as people, I'm getting a little general now. We kind of absorb skills over time, and so for anybody to think they can just I don't know. There's no really timeline on it, so I can't really say like practice for 3 months or practice for a year and think that you've got it. There are artists that have been doing this for, and musicians and all sorts of people that are creative, that have been doing their craft um, for years. I mean, like decades, and they will still feel self doubt. So it doesn't have to come from a point of like your skills. It can come from you're having self doubt in, say, you already have built up an audience. Now you're having self doubt if you even have what it takes to be that person that they know or that they expect, right? Um, but I think it's easier when one of the biggest ways to combat this is being your number one fan. I think it becomes a lot easier when you are your number one fan. When you're able to feel fulfilled with your own achievements instead of seeking others to validate your efforts, which can be very elastic bandy. So, we can take some of the biggest examples, like, say, like a superstar or somebody who has an audience. Doesn't even have to be a superstar. We could just pick YouTubers or content creators or whatever, right? And you have an audience and you're used to a certain level of engagement or a certain level of, um, it comes down to like an energy trade off. It's actually funny. Earlier today, I read, I can't remember what social media platform it was on. Maybe it was Instagram. It was Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, one of my favorite bands, saying that he's basically irritated how people at shows have their cell phones out and they're not really interacting. And he was saying how he's just going to reciprocate what they're doing and just sit down in a chair and like film them back and ask them after the show, "Did you enjoy that?" And when they say, presumably, no, he's going to go, "Good, neither did I. So let's put our phones away and have a real connection," right? So, getting back to having an audience, it can feel very weird when what you're used to, I guess, is it doesn't not necessarily taken away from you, but say you took a long break or something like that, right? And you come back and you're expecting things to be at a certain level, and it's not. It can be um, very. It can incite a lot of self doubt. Am I still that person? Am I still that good? Do I still have it? And again, that's if you already have yourself built up. And on the other side of self doubt, when you're in the learning phases and stuff like that, it can be so hard to understand how to deal with the plateaus that you're going to hit and how to deal with the setbacks that you're going to inevitably hit. For example, and this is my main personal experience over the last couple years, I've been dealing with a lot of self doubt when it comes to my ability as a guitarist. And if you haven't seen me play guitar, I have covers out on my channel. Go click the videos and go explore. There's tons of videos out there. And I live stream, and there's tons of VODs out there. So you can come and enjoy me playing. I stream every day, so swing on by. But I injured my hand, and I also have videos out explaining exactly what I did to my hand. But basically, I injured my hand pretty badly over the last couple years, and it's been a pain to deal with. And it's really impacted my ability to progress as a musician. And because I can't progress, that whole feeling of feeling plateaued is hitting me so much harder. So I'm left with a lot of self doubt because I'm sitting here. It's been more than 2 years that I've been dealing with this, and I'm going, I mean, you can't get your time back, right? So I'm just going, do I even have like a chance anymore? Like, is my hand screwed? Will I be able to do this? Like, I'm having all of those thoughts, right? So I think that as I had a smaller procedure to kind of deal with the injury so far, and I think that a part of me saying it gets easier when you are your number one fan. I'm reteaching myself how to approach guitar in a way that's not going to injure my wrist again, and I'm trying to celebrate those small wins. For example, if I can play for a couple of hours and not do any of the old habits that I used to do that I know will injure my hand, I take that as it feels very good. I relish in that. Seemingly, it's a nothing. It's a not. It's just a nothing burger to other people, but it means a lot to me, right? So that kind of eliminates those feelings, or it kind of it puts a pretty big defense barrier up versus those inevitable thoughts of self doubt. Next up is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, seeing others doing what you do better than you can be super deflating and ultimately leave you feeling defeated. But I think in that sentence alone, I think better needs to be defined because we're all going to have a different idea of what better means. It can mean they are a better business person, but they might not necessarily be better skill wise, right? It could be better as in they just have higher numbers in a certain aspect, record sales, live viewers, streaming, viewers on a YouTube video. I'm just trying to pull things out of my head that I partake in. So YouTube streaming, blah blah blah. Better needs to be defined, and without better being defined, I think that it it's really easy to let imposter syndrome like kind of like envelop your thoughts. It kind of like, you know what I mean? Um how should I say? It's like you're walking down, a street at night, and then like these thoughts are like the big scary shadows, and you just have to turn around and like, give them some guff, you know what I'm saying? You got to, when you have those thoughts, you just got to um um put some bravado on and tell them no. You know what I'm saying? So, don't just say no. I think attack it with logic. So, if the thought is again, the thought is, or you're having negative thoughts associated with the, I guess, fact or your point of view, which is that others are doing what you do better than you, then just challenge that thought with logic. Think about what you're actually thinking about and break it down into um, just chunk it into little sections, and I think it's easier to digest and, um, furthermore, understand what exactly it is that you're like, pinpoint what it is exactly that is, bothering you about somebody else, um, being effectively better at you in a certain aspect, of something that you both share, right? Or something that you both share interest in, I should say. So ultimately, what we're doing is just letting those fears win and projecting them out onto ourselves, which is only going to hurt our progress further and then feed, like I said earlier, into that self doubt. Um, we have to remember that we don't know how much work others put in behind closed curtains. And so it's, unjust. I think we don't we're not respecting ourselves and we're not respecting the other person by s- um, kind of feeling like, you know, uh, if they're so much better, I think the thought always kind of comes down to why are they so much better, or I hate that they're so much better. I don't like that they're so much better. There's some sort of negative connotation attached to the fact that they're doing better in some aspect of that interest that you both share, and there's no reason to be that way because there's more than enough room in whatever field for many people, like an endless amount of people, to succeed. I honestly, do mean that, and I say that from, again, like a decade of experience in, real life business of being a photographer, videographer. There's a lot of creatives in my city, and, even though I play music, I didn't decide to go the music route in my city, but there's a lot of creatives, and the music, scene here in this city is huge, and, I wouldn't feel if I decided tomorrow to chase some sort of local career, as in, playing in local bars or whatever, in like the music scene, I wouldn't feel like I don't have a chance. Not at all. The same way I feel about photography and videography. There's a lot of new photographers that happened around, when lockdowns were happening and stuff like that. And as well, same in the content creation space. There's a lot of new streamers. I mean, there's all sorts of statistics and all the proofs out there now, but there was a huge influx of new streamers when everybody just had to stay at home and stuff like that, and it didn't hurt anybody. It didn't take away from anybody else's success. So ultimately, I don't think um, worrying about other people's success without, not even without, but we can really break down that fear or those negative thoughts by um, kind of just flipping it on its head and recognizing that that person had to have put in a lot of work to get to where they were at as well. Next is being distracted or non-committed to what it is you're doing. So this can be encompassed by saying, having a bit of self-discipline. This is one of the hardest parts of staying motivated because, like in my other video, burnout can happen quite easily, especially if you're just going and going and going and going. Now, so the question becomes, how do you maintain something consistently while improving, while also staying in love with said thing at that level that you like it, or it eventually becomes more important to you? Well, I want to talk about a couple of experiences here. And so, I have skateboarded for over um, 15 years. I've skateboarded for quite a long time. I don't skateboard anymore, right? But I skateboarded for quite a long time. And I feel that um, skateboarding was something that I used to do just as much as I stream, if not more. I really do hyper focus on things that I love or that I attach passion to, and even though that passion can be fleeting, for certain things, I've been able to really latch my claws in to certain activities and been able to do them years and years and years and years over time, and still love them as much as I did day one. One of those things, like I said, was skateboarding. I skateboarded for a very long time, and I feel like it was just the same as it is in my commitment to my YouTube because I just want to build up the first part of the YouTube story too, which is that when me and my girlfriend started doing reaction videos on this channel here. It wasn't planned or anything. We just did it essentially because I was excited about Diablo 4 was just coming out, and I've told the story before, and there was a cinematic that I got super, super, super passionate and emotional about, and I just was so excited, like so over the moon excited that I wanted to do a reaction video, and I don't know why, and it just kind of became a little bit of a viral video in terms of my videos because I didn't really have much content out at that point, and we decided to just go real hard. We just loved the process, and it was fun for us to do. It's fun. I can speak on for me especially. It was very fun for me to do, and we got this channel partnered in about under 6 months, 4.5 months, or something like that. Consistently making 3 videos per night. That's a lot of videos over the course of 4.5 months. I think it was 4.5, maybe 5ish months or something, somewhere around there. Myself now, including tonight's video, I've consistently released videos every single night, which I'm not going to say is going to go on forever. But right now, I'm very hyper focused on what I'm doing. I enjoy this process. I find it easy to make videos because I don't limit myself to a specific niche right now. And that's because that's never what I made this channel for. I made this channel before I ever really started making content. It was just my YouTube channel. That's all it was. And so, my YouTube channel is my name. It's not like Don Reviews or Don Tech Channel. It's not anything like that. It's just my name. All right. So everything was very unplanned on this, but I do enjoy making videos about um, whatever topic or whatever activity is interesting to me at the moment. So sometimes you're seeing talking head videos, and sometimes you're seeing review videos, and sometimes you're seeing me do gaming videos because these are all my interests. So, um, you know, getting back to the point of staying committed, it's because I um, I just let my interests lead the way. I think that's what it is. I don't try to manufacture the process too much. I just literally let my little ADD-esque brain, I just let it fly, man, and whatever it wants to do, that's what we're doing, and I'm having fun doing it. So, obviously, I really like when I get good feedback on a video, but I think that because I've made the process for myself so easy, because I actually love the process, and that's something that I've spoken about in other videos. You have to love the process. If you love the process, work won't feel like work. And this doesn't feel like work to me. Even though I put an insane amount of hours into it. So that's all it is. It's really falling in love with the process and not worrying about the results. I think that makes staying committed to something a little easier, staying committed to a process a little easier. Now, while I do think it's, you know, I everything for me has to be attached to some sort of like end visual goal, and I will get to that. But if you can just I think at first you think about the end vision goal, or at least I do, right? So before I actually latch into something, I kind of think about what I imagine, yes, I imagine what I would look like doing that thing. It could be if I was learning a new skill, or if if it's like owning a home or being in a certain location in the world or whatever. I imagine me there, or if it's skateboarding, I imagine me doing that trick, right? So I'll touch on that in a second. But after you do that process and imagine yourself in it, and once that appeals to me mentally, then I think I can lose myself in the process, and that's what makes you know I'm lost in the process. I've got the kaleidoscope glasses on. I'm just I'm having such a good time. You know what I'm saying? That I don't even think about. Oh, well, you better start stressing out because you got to make 20 more videos this month. I don't think about that. I just don't think about that. So lose yourself in the process, and let the commitment speak for itself. You don't even think about it. Um, so I do make a note here. While it's not easy, I feel so committed first and foremost to the vision in my head, like I just mentioned, which makes being or feeling constantly rejuvenated. It makes me feel constantly rejuvenated to commit to what I'm doing and or building. When I say building, I don't necessarily just mean physical things. I mean building some sort of thing that is a positive benefit to my life. And lastly, last thing I want to touch on is something that a lot of people feel. This isn't exclusive to creative people, but that is feeling alone. So, most creative endeavors, while can be done in a group, are things that you learn and evolve through as an individual. And that can be a very lonely process, especially because it can be hard to relate to others during this unique to you process. And I know I felt this way during my photography business many times, while many of my peers also had businesses. Many of my peers that I worked with and or had connected with locally within my city and or just professionally online. Um, while many of them had their own businesses and many of them were doing the same thing as me, our goals or vision did not align, and so it made me feel a little bit lonely when it came to reaching out to um, you know reaching out to people over and over and over again to try and prompt them on some sort of joint business idea. Now, I'm not saying when I say joint business idea, if you don't run a business, that doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you're asking them for money or something like that. It can be like, as a photographer, it can be like, yo, let's do a shoot together. Yo, I've got this wicked idea. Um, we could market it like this, and then we could both get shoots from this because I know your style, I know my style, and if we just collab like and we do it like this, you know what I'm saying? Then we can build some hype and we can build some clientele, which effectively is business, and that will help keep our lights on. So stuff like that. It was hard to get any bites on things because, um, I find that it's not a greedy thing that creatives do, and it's not to slight anybody else, but a lot of us are on our own journey, and that journey is very unique to self. So it can be hard sometimes to feel that you're actually in a connected space, even if you're doing something you know, and I'm gonna use an analogy here. If you're doing the same thing as 1,000 other people in a room, it can still feel very alone, you know? If everybody else is painting, you know, I don't know, pretty bright flowers and you're painting not, like, if you're painting dead flowers or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, if everybody's painting grass and you're painting the ocean, like, it's just if you're just you regardless, you can feel alone. So, um, so now I want to touch on some of more of my own experiences in relation to staying motivated and or inspired. And these are from my experiences as a creative over the past decade. So photography, videography, a content creator, a skateboarder, et cetera, et cetera. Um, as I was saying before, it's easier to do the work towards the end goal, especially for me, when I can clearly envision what that end goal looks like. So the better I can see every little detail in my head. And this goes, like I said, from learning a new skill to being in a certain location or owning assets in my life. Um, I have such a strong visual imagination that I can literally like construct and walk through houses in my head. Like right now, I'm literally an avatar in my head, and this sounds so silly to try and make somebody else visualize through a YouTube video because I'm just staring off at the wall, right? But in my head, I can visualize me as an avatar, literally taking a step up each steps and like turning and like building the house as I see it. I can see the tones of the wood and the other decor in the house, like so when I see that, I can also envision the location, like uh the part of the world that it's in. And you know, once I have that, I kind of go, okay, it just for some reason that it's like it attaches something that I can't explain. It attaches a part of you uh onto that idea in your head, and it just makes the whole actual real world process of starting whatever you need to do to work towards what you're envisioning in your head. It makes it so much easier. Often I struggle with the process if I can't visualize me being a part of the end goal in my mind. So, and that's with doing any job. That's being a content creator or photographer as well. Um, or I even did skateboarding as a job. So, sometimes I got nervous and had to visualize myself because I was a skateboard teacher in my 20s, and for some reason in my 20s I just didn't feel, even though I had been skateboarding for a while already, I just didn't feel um like in my mind a teacher was just older. I just didn't feel like an adult, and I still feel like a kid. But now there's a whole I'm just confidently different. Like now I could, if I still skateboarded, I would not get nervous at all, if whether it was somebody older than me or somebody younger than me, and anybody can skateboard, right? And there are people older than me that skateboard. I just don't skateboard currently, and I might pick it back up. You never know. We'll see how these knees are. But it's I used to get nervous because whether I was teaching somebody younger or older, I didn't feel qualified, right? And so that was definitely a struggle. So you definitely have to it helped when I could visualize myself like in my head, literally being there with the student, older or younger, and going over the process in my head, right? It's almost like practicing your cue cards for a project before you present it to the class, which I was horrible at. I'm a horrible presenter, so that maybe that's a part of, why I felt nervous, having to be, a teacher who is not only doing presenting, but, a skateboarder, and I have to add the performative part of it, while not being a nervous wreck. So I can totally understand that. So it can be hard to do things on automatic mode, as in when I'm learning, just if I'm watching a video or something or a teacher's teaching me, it can be hard for me to just do the activity that they're telling me to do without using my imagination as some sort of guide. It's sometimes easier for me to just watch what somebody's doing with them just speaking their inner dialogue without them thinking too much about teaching me. And I will just like literally absorb the information that they're giving me. I really do like that way of learning, and so when I say I'm a visual learner, I like the specific process about when somebody's showing me something, they show me some sort of visual example, right? So, um, I mean, in for some reason I was good with math, and it's not like I need like numbers to be like shapes or anything, but if they were, it might help in certain situations. Um, so I know it sounds weird, but I used skateboarding and visualizing, or sorry, going back to I used to do skateboarding, like I said, and visualize myself doing a trick felt normal. So maybe that's why it feels normal. I started skateboarding when I was 11, and I skateboarded for like probably like more than 15, almost 20 years, like a long time. And I felt like it was commonplace for others as well. Like we would always like I remember plenty of times that we would be all like gathered around in front of like a ledge or something, and we'd be trying to figure out how to like with our hands, we'd be like, do you, or you know what I'm saying? And we're not really saying words, but we're like trying to just make each other understand in like caveman language how each other is visualizing the um intricacies of, the aerodynamics, and how you have to twist your body or how you have to approach or where you have to take off from, whatever it is. It feels really good when you can not only visualize it and then, um, I guess, act on exactly how you visualized it in your head. When it goes the way that you foresaw it, essentially, I think that's magic, man. That's really cool. And also, when you can share that sort of communication, it's almost like I mean, yes, you're plucking things right from your brain and sharing it with others when you're just using your words, but when you are trying to, I mean, I can't draw very well, so it's not like I can just like take what I'm visualizing in my brain, and like draw it on a piece of paper for someone to be like, here, this is exactly what I mean, and then like draw like a caricature of them real quick and be like, and you twist like this, like I'm some sort of like 3D architect. Those people are insane, by the way. But those are things that I think that a lot of creative people struggle with. And so those are ways that I relate to it, and some tips and tricks that I think will help you deal with um, some of those things like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, being distracted or feeling alone. And on the flip side of that, how to ultimately stay motivated and or inspired. Remember, it's all about the end goal. So once you know where you want to be, the whole process of how to get there, not a problem. If you have any thoughts to add, please add them down below. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.